Yo, what's up? I want to welcome you to the new series Q&A with TLA. This is a concept from Cyrus, executive produced by myself. So we're about to kick things off. I hope you enjoy. We're going to take you on a wild ride. This is raw and uncut. Yeah, we go there. Yeah. Welcome to Black Hollywood.
So this is the one right here, y'all. This is the episode that I'm excited about because there's gonna be so much gems dropped. This is episode 2 of Q&A with TLA. I'm your host Cyrus, and I'm here with my brother TLA, also known as Tajaya L. Antoine, also known as Blacktastic Media, and we are here in discussion of the classic joints from none other than both of our favorite filmmaker, Spike Lee. Spike Lee really needs no introduction because he has a close to 40-year career. Mm-hmm. And so today, specifically, we're going to be discussing his first 5 films, or first 5 or 6 films or so, as I would like to call it, the 6-ring run. And that's where I think the parallels between him and Michael Jordan lie, because Michael Jordan has 6 championships, and Spike Lee, when he first came out, the first 6 films that he's done are considered masterpieces. And so we're going to shed some light on that today. Starting off, because my brother TLA is older than me, so he has experience seeing a lot of these films in theater, whereas when I was younger, I caught them, on home video, and my older siblings brought them to the house, so my mom would be watching them, so I catch them watching these fantastic films. But my brother TLA has firsthand experience, opening nights, so on and so forth. The unique thing about your experience, though, TLA, is that you got on to She's Gotta Have It later, right?
Yeah.
So let's go in chronological order of when you saw Spike's films. So the first Spike film you've ever seen wasn't She's Gotta Have It. Which one was it?
It was School Days in theaters.
Okay.
That was what, 88?
88, yep. And I can't imagine the experience of seeing, I can imagine, of the experience of seeing a film like that in theaters, because the call and response had to have been crazy. And I can only imagine seeing that film in a theater full of black folks. How was your experience seeing School Days in theater?
Man, during that time in high school, I was dating this yellow girl.
Okay.
Beautiful, and we were conscious. We was with our black pride and everything. And She's Gotta Have It was always this thing I heard about. How I got introduced to Spike Lee, funny, was the Michael Jordan commercials for Nike. I'm a big basketball head. And at the time, the Chicago Bulls was big. The Lakers were big. The New York Knicks was big. But this black and white commercial appeared on network TV with a dude wearing a hat talking funny with real skinny legs. Like he knew Michael Jordan personally. I'm like, what is this? And he called himself Mars Blackman. And Michael Jordan referred to him as Mars. I'm like, what is this? It's a cool commercial. The directing style of a commercial was new to me. It was cool to see 2 black people in a commercial together about tennis shoes or sneakers, wherever region you're from. I'm like, oh, and that was it. I didn't know who that was. And so as I'm kicking it with my black folks on the weekend, we talking and everything. And we were too young at the time to get our hands on She's Gotta Have It. Because you had to be a certain age to go into the video store to get it. So I never seen it. It was always this mythical movie I heard about from Spike Lee. So I found out who Spike Lee was from the Michael Jordan Nike commercials. And here it is. Spike Lee has a new movie come out in theaters called School Days. I'm in a school. It's about school. I didn't know it was about college. But in 88, I was getting ready in the next year and a half to go to college. So it was perfect prep for college. And when you black, you want to go to an all black college to get accepted to an all black college and things like that. And being in Sacramento, it's predominantly white. So anything that's black oriented, you gravitate towards. So this movie came out, and me and a lot of my schoolmates went to go see it. And I said, my voice been deep since I was 13. I had hair on my lips since my 10th grade year. So I never looked like I wasn't 18. So I can get tickets and pay for other people. They gave me their money, of course. We went and seen School Days, right? We sat in the front row. Me, my girl, some of my homies, and a girl. It was like 9 of us. We went 2 car groups, right? I'm driving my dad's what kind of car did he have? He had a big old boat. I think it was a Galaxy 500 or something like that. One of them old school cars. My homeboy had his cars, and we rolled to the theater. Went to State Theater, right off of Florin Road behind Florin Mall, and we pulled up. And we went to a matinee and sat down and watched School Days. So here I am hearing all these stories about this director. I know who he is by the commercial, so that's what's all about. I didn't know that he started in his own films. I'm like, oh, okay. This movie opens up with the old Negro spiritual song, and they're showing these still pictures of Black history. And I'm like, sad to say, I didn't know who some of them people were. I'm like, wow. And they show the scene with the boat, the slaves, how they was laid upon it like sardines stacked. So the movie opens up and it makes you sit there and be quiet and staring at the film. And I'm holding my girlfriend's hand, and when I see something disturbing, I would squeeze it. I'm like, man, I've never experienced anything like this except growing up watching Roots on TV. And I'm like, whoa, whoa. And then the movie opens up, and then I'm introduced to the world of a Spike Lee joint. I never knew what a joint meant at the time until after the movie was over. When you experience a Spike Lee film, then you know it's not a film, it's a joint. Because I never seen a movie directed that way, shot that way. Um, I had yet to take any film classes because I did that in college, so I didn't know that much about film and how to set up a camera and edit and frame, dolly a shot. I didn't know none of that film language at all, but I learned after watching this movie. School Days was so pertinent and important to my being because there's truth in division amongst blacks, light skin versus the dark skin. And let me tell you, in the 80s, the light skins were winning. You had the Jackson Five, the Jacksons. You had DeBarge, Albie Shore, Christopher Williams, the light skinned Heavy D, the rapper. Everybody wanted to be light skinned with good hair. Philip Michael Thomas from Miami Vice, just that was the trend. All the ladies my age was going for the light skinned dudes, right? It was what it was, right? And but the brothers chased it, the yellow girls, high yellow girls. I'm guilty of it to this very day. That's just my preference. And we would have conversations about why you chose her over me. I like you. I wrote you a letter and you didn't respond. But the next week I see you walking with my homegirl who got that long stringy hair down her back and is light skinned, but she ain't got an ass like me. I'm like, yeah, you're right. The black woman could probably actually physically look better, but I went after the light skinned girl because it was just a common thing to do in my section of my neighborhood and the people I grew up around. It gave you prestigiousness and stuff. It was weird, man. And maybe
Wow.
the light skinned girls like the darker guys because they felt safe, like we were
Hmm.
built to protect them. You
Hmm.
know, them pretty boys, we call them, you know, they didn't like to fight. They didn't have hands. You know,
Hmm.
they were too busy trying to look good. They'd be in the mirror more than a girlfriend would be. So that was the common thread going on during that time of my life. And this movie put an X-ray on it and just boom. And we was like, wow, wow. Like the dude Vaughn, I didn't know what he was. He had good hair, split down the middle. You know, he was smooth looking. Had one of the baddest girls on campus, and my other dude, Larry Fishburne at the time, his sister was dark, and the conversation came up. You just wouldn't become one of the darkest sisters. You know, you want to be pro-black. You know, those conversations was evident in my conversation I was having at my school with my fellow brethren and sisters. And so we all sat through that movie silent, except of course on the funny parts. You know, the Jerry curl scenes, eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. The biggest song out that summer was "Doing the Butt," and that scene at the dance off, and then you had the marchers and that scene where they marched against each other doing the stepping. Um, Tisha Campbell, you know, she was beautiful. Jasmine Guy was beautiful. I mean, it was just, man, Spike Lee was hilarious. All the people in that movie was just, his characters were so relatable and so cool. The nerdy guy that drove the car with the big ass glasses, you know, they picked on him and everything. And then
Hmm.
the movie got deep, you know, anything to pledge to get into this sorority is something I would never do. You know, I have my own individual, I can't speak, my own individuality that I would never do anything like that, right? You know, I know who I am since birth. And to see people get lost, they feel like they need to be a part of something and demean their own people to get into a frat really bothered me. How they treated those brothers, man, made you hate them. And the girls only dated those guys. Because I've been with popular girls before. Like the cheerleaders at my school could only go out with the football people. No, I'm going to get those cheerleaders. And I did,
Hmm.
you know. And the football dudes would get mad at me. I said, how you be mad at me because she chose me? It didn't make sense. But that's how black people thought back in those
Hmm.
days. You know, that's how the frats get started. Cheerleaders with basketball players or football players. You know, not with your common everyday black dudes on the campus. You know,
Hmm.
man, sorry, buddy. I'm going to get what I want.
Hmm.
And they want to fight you behind that, this stupid stuff. And this movie, again, put a spotlight on that. And I was like, wow, this is really deep because I've had the conversation dark skin versus light skin, but I've never seen it presented to me that way. And School Days just blew my mind. When it was over, we sat there to the ending credits. We walked out, not saying a word. I remember going out to my car and just leaning up against the car like this. My girl leaned up against the car, my homeboy. And my other homeboy was parked next to me in his car. He just leaned up against his car. He was like, man, what did we just watch? Because it was the ending of the movie about Wake Up. The way that it was shot, the way that it was filmed, how the camera panned in and came down. It was nothing I'd ever seen before. And the way he was yelling, you seen all 32 teeth in his mouth. Wake up! And the camera moved with his words. Wake! I've never seen anything like that. And everybody was quiet. Everybody who was wrong said nothing. He was out there in their pajamas and underwear. And it was provocative. It was strong. The message. It talked about Africa, what was going on in Africa at the time. You know, the movie was deep. And you forget that that was his cousin in the movie, that he helped him to pledge. They wanted him to do with it later. But when you pass around a woman around campus in order to be part of something, it's wrong. That's almost like rape. And that's when the movie got real deep and serious. And I remember leaning up against the car and just saying, "Damn, man, I got to rethink my plan. I don't know why
Mm.
we funk with each other when it comes to light skin and black skin. Literally, we go to a football game, we be divided in the seating at a football game. Like
Wow.
majority of the light skinned women were cheerleaders. You might have maybe had two that were dark. You know, it was just like that. So when we go to lunch, you think all the cheerleaders would sit together, but the two dark ones would sit over there by themselves, and all the light ones would be over here. Hey man, I seen it up close and personal. Dark skinned blacks against light skinned blacks was a real live breathing element. And I was a part of it because sisters would approach me and say, "Man, why not me, TJ? You know, why?" I couldn't answer the question. But I'm talking to my homies. We just like fair skinned women. I grew up watching movies. Richard Pryor's wife in those movies or girlfriends, which way is up? He liked the light skinned woman and cheated
Mm.
on his dark skinned wife. Which way is up? All those movies with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier, they had light skinned wives.
Mm.
That's what I thought was the norm. My uncles on my mom's side of the family all had light skinned wives. I thought that was the prize. So I mimic what I seen. And I had some tough conversations later on in life. I dated who were darker, who opened up to me and told me how they felt. And man, it made me feel like shh.
Mm.
It was deep, brother. It was real deep. But I tell you this, man, it was an eye-opening experience, and it made me change my ways. But yeah, school days left an impression for sure.
Mm. Mm. Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah,
That's deep, brother. That's deep. Now that was your first Spike joint. Now
yeah.
you retroactively went back to go see She's Gotta Have It. Now, how did you get your hands on that VHS?
Well, I went to one of those mom and pop shops that wasn't, you know, Blockbuster. So I went to a little mom and pop shop. They didn't care. As long as the money was green, you could rent the movie. And I was a black dude that worked behind the counter. He goes, "Oh yeah, brother, you need to see this, man. You need to see this." So here, man, you know. So I went home with a few of my buddies, and we sat there and watched She's Gotta Have It. I thought it was just like a sexual film. The way that people talked about it, talked about the sex. She was freaky, and it started off like that. But as you know, the movie's deeper about a woman trying to find herself and experiment, and the public's not the one to judge her. She got to judge herself. But it was a black and white film. Spike Lee opened up again with stills and pictures of his heroes. I didn't know what I was watching, and I'm learning more about Spike Lee than I was the movie. I'm realizing, okay, this man puts his life into his movies, and now I understood the character Morris Blackman. He was hilarious in that movie, and again, I wasn't really versed on film structure and stuff like that, but I knew I liked what I seen, and the dialogue I can relate to. They talked my language. You know, it was a New York thing, the New York still pictures, the scenery, you can literally smell New York in the movies. And She's Gotta Have It. I mean, she was beautiful. And you know, we in our teens, we seen her naked, having sex with brothers, and you know, hey, hey, man, I love that movie. And again, at the end, or through the course of the movie, when people would talk directly into the camera, I wasn't used to that, breaking the fourth wall. So it made you, you know, feel a little naked, and it forced you to listen to the dialogue and not be distracted what's going on in the background. And I knew then that Spike Lee was different, and I started paying attention to who he was, started doing research, finding out things when his next movie's coming out and everything like that. Ever since then, I wanted to express myself through art.
Mm.
I wanted to tell my story and leave an impression through art, whether it was poetry, writing dialogue, film, performing, art, something. I want to express myself through art form, and Spike Lee gave that to me because up until then, everybody wanted to be a rapper. You know, rap was the biggest thing, but no, there's something more elevated than rap. And film is the way to go because I didn't know any black filmmakers. What, Sidney Poitier and one other dude? My whole life, I knew that was a black filmmaker. So
Hmm.
this was new, and he was a Renaissance man. His soundtracks were dope. So the music was relatable to me. The films made me think. It made me question my very being of a black young man in America, how I treated my fellow brethren. Spike Lee made me take accountability for myself at the age I was, being a young black man. You know, what are you going to do to change this life that we live in? And then next was do the right thing.
Mm.
End of story, man.
Bruh. Man. Now let me ask you this. When you found out Do the Right Thing was coming out, right? When you first saw the trailer for Do the Right Thing, was that your most anticipated film of the year? Because that film was going up against Batman on its opening weekend.
Yep.
So,
Man, 89, I became a man. I was finishing up high school. I was getting ready to go to college. Um, Unlike my other classmates, I knew who I was and wanted to be. I already knew what direction I was going. They were still lost. Like they were going to college and taking bullshit courses just to take. I had a purpose. I wanted to go into communications. I wanted to be a black broadcaster, whether it was sports or something. You know, my
mhm.
voice was unique. Either I was going to be a disc jockey, radio personality, or something, right? So I knew what I wanted to do. And 89 was a big summer. You had Batman, Do the Right Thing, Lethal Weapon 2, Ghostbusters 2. It was a huge summer. And that summer, we had our family reunion, and it was took place in Washington, D.C. So me and my mom and dad drove all the way to Washington, D.C. My dad got a brand new car that year because I wrecked his other one. I didn't wreck it, somebody hit me, but it got totaled. So my dad got a brand new 1989 Volvo. So we drove all across the United States, went to Washington, D.C. for our family reunion. And this, the texture was different, you know, seeing my light skinned cousins, my dark skinned cousins, East Coast versus the West Coast. Me being from the West Coast, they thought, hey, do you see MC Hammer every day? Do you see Michael Jackson every day? They think California is Hollywood. They don't understand. But it was a
where,
great,
where,
huh?
where was the film reunion at?
In Washington, D.C.
Oh,
So all my cousins from
wow.
Virginia was coming over, man. It was a culture shock. I met
Mhm.
cousins I never knew, man, and whew, whew, I understand what kissing cousins is all about. Because you wish some of these women wasn't your cousins. I got
Right.
a beautiful family, man, beautiful family. But that experience being around all these wonderful black people, that was my family. Going back, and later on that summer in June, Batman drops, and Do the Right Thing drops. I went to the premiere of both movies a night of each other, and again, Do the Right Thing. A group of us went, a couple of carloads to see Do the Right Thing. By this time, we was all 18 and older, so we paid for our tickets, got in there. It was the best opening of any movie I've probably seen in my life because the
That's
soundtrack
not
was already out.
right. And I'm
The
pretty sure
soundtrack
Fight
was
the
already
Power was
hot.
right.
Fight the Power was out. Summertime
Right.
was out. That Jamaican song was out. You know, the soundtrack was already flaming. And Public Enemy was like the biggest rap group at the time, right? So everything was popping in 89. It was the last of the 80s. The 80s was a big decade. So they showed a couple of trailers. And back then, we had a black movie come out. They only show other black movies that's coming out soon. So
Right.
the lights
Right.
went dark. Then it said, John, 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 pat, 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 da, 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 da. But it had a little jazz. I'm like, what's this? And then
Oh
it was
my
a
God.
stage because remember I was in performing art. I'm like, no. That's a big old poster and that's a stage.
Mm-hmm.
Never heard of Rosie Perez in my life. And she comes out dancing to Public Enemy. 1989 a number. Another and that beat. Doom, doom, I mean, Public Enemy was killing it in that song.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the camera on her. She's dancing, boxing gloves, punching at the screen, gyrating her body. I'm like, We're dancing. We couldn't control our bodies. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on stage. And when you're from the West Coast, you fascinate about the East Coast. I'm like, man, I want to be with a Puerto Rican so bad.
Mhm.
Rosie Perez, one of my first crushes on a Puerto Rican woman. Oh my God. Then the movie opens up. Samuel L. Jackson's voice is in a booth at the radio station. And the camera does this big pan from the radio station window out to the street. You see the chalk on the floor in the streets. And it was a New York neighborhood, man. I was like, wow. And this movie, to this very day, the color correction they did for this movie is probably one of the best I've ever seen. Do the Right Thing is a beautiful, colorful film. Bright colors everywhere.
Let me ask you
even
this.
the walls. Yeah, go ahead.
That opening, just to go back a little bit, that opening with Rosie Perez, right? How was the theater? How did the theater? Because I know the theater was full of black folks, right?
Yeah.
It was
a club.
It was it shoulder to shoulder?
Man, by this time, Spike Lee was a rock star because School Days brought all the black people together. We said we got to support this director. And when Do the Right Thing came out, it was our blockbuster. Batman was everybody else's, but Do the Right Thing was our blockbuster because I've heard of the 1964 riots, but I wasn't born. And this is before Rodney King. So this is my first introduction to how a riot can start in a neighborhood. And how you had the one dude who had mental illness, how he had a stuttering problem and was talking about Malcolm X and, Martin Luther King. And it was comedic, but he was trying to get his point across. He wanted people to come together and learn about your leaders. And that opening, we were dancing in the aisles. We was dancing where we sat. We stood up. Everybody was slapping five because there was no hotter rap song out in the summer of '89 other than Fight the Power. Fight the Power, this is when my renaissance of young black people started taking notice and responsibility for being black. The best rappers were conscious. You had of course, Chuck D and Public Enemy was number one. You had Rakim. You had Boogie Down Productions. Everybody was doing conscious rap. You had Tribe Called Quest. It was a time where Public Enemy forced you to listen to their lyrics because the beats were so crazy. But that particular beat you can dance to. And it's probably their best dance track, probably to this very day. Do the Right Thing. I mean, Fight the Power is a dope jam. And we were dancing. The words were powerful. And the words wasn't edited like on the radio. Fuck him, man, John Wayne. I'm black and I'm proud. Man.
Most of my heroes on a pair of those stamps.
Man, just that movie opened up with it. Man. We all sat down. We're out of breath.
You guys were dancing? You guys were dancing in the theater?
Yeah.
Wow. Whoa.
Well, the ushers came in there and opened the doors and looked to see what was going on. I was like, oh, yeah. Do the Right Thing.
It was like a club?
Club.
Wow.
You gotta understand, man.
Wow.
There's never been an opening like that in my life. Even Chris Groove didn't open up like that. I mean, this was a woman gyrating and dancing on stage in front of the camera. And that beat was booming.
The sound system was knocking back then?
Knocking.
Wow.
And you're in a dark room full of people of color? Hell yeah, we dancing. Women were shaking. I mean, the women were doing what she was doing. They was imitating Rosie Perez. So they was doing that. I'm like, I'm doing it with them.
Really?
You move, I move. Just like that. When you move, I move. Boy, I was, man.
Wow.
Man, people became couples that night after dancing like that. It was the most powerful beginning I've ever seen in a Spike Lee movie. And the rest is history. It should have won all kind of Oscars, man. It should have won. That movie was phenomenal. To this very day, it aged
Yo,
perfectly. It's so
yeah,
powerful.
yeah, man. It aged like fine wine, and to think
Yes.
that it lost out to Driving Miss Daisy in retrospect is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. They messed up. I mean, you had the Italians, you had the Puerto Ricans, you had the blacks. I mean, that movie had all that tension in that neighborhood. Sal's Pizzeria, you had the radio station, people, sitting on the steps, having
Mm.
conversations. You had the neighborhood drunk. You had the Jamaicans sitting on the corner getting drunk. Radio Raheem, wearing big old rings on your fingers was, man, the wearing the Jackie Robinson jersey, representing the Dodgers.
Mm.
Man, biker shorts,
Yeah.
that one light skinned girl who was kicking it with the foot. Man, I had a crush on her. Ain't seen her in nothing else ever again in
Yeah,
life.
she was fine, wasn't she? She
Fine.
was
Damn.
fine. Yep,
Damn. Ain't seen her in nothing
fine.
else.
I never see. I look. At one point, I was looking. I looked over her IMDb. I couldn't find her, man. I wonder. I'm
Yo,
gonna try to find her on
yo.
Instagram and see what she. Hopefully, I want to see what she look like now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And also used to
You know.
people repeating their roles in Spike Lee movies, but there was no Jasmine Guy, there was no Tisha
Mhm.
Campbell, so it was a whole new group of women. But that's when I first noticed how cute Spike Lee's sister was. At first she was a little odd, the hair and stuff. I'm like, she looks like her brother, but she's cute,
Yeah,
you know?
Joelle Lee. Joelle Lee was fine.
Yeah.
She was
The
fine.
way she was just new to us. Again,
Right.
women that was a little bit darker was starting
Mhm.
to step into the spotlight because of directors
Mhm.
like Spike Lee. And man, the acting in that movie was phenomenal. I mean, that's my first introduction to John Turturro in that movie. His relationship with Spike or Mookie at the pizzeria, and his younger brother was cooler with Mookie. He was a young father. How he would go home and take showers in the middle of the day and go visit his baby's mama. English, English, all right. I'm like, that's how we talk when you date outside your race. And one of the sexiest things I've ever seen in a movie, the ice cube across the nipple and the breast. I'm like, I want to do that with
Mm.
a woman one day. And Spike Lee made me want to do things with ice cubes. I never thought of rubbing down the middle of her back. I'm like, man, that is sexiness personified for people of color. We got imagination. Our AC
Mhm.
barely works. Sex is going to make you hot. So how can you cool down the body? Man, come on, man.
Mm.
Come on, man. That movie is
Classic.
damn near
That's
perfect,
a
man.
perfect film.
Yeah,
That is a
and then the
perfect.
dialogue was so potent that Ice Cube's first album came out. He's quoting all the
Yep.
clips from that movie and America's Most Wanted to the point where
Yep.
Spike Lee's like, "Hey, man, next time ask permission." Because back then you could just steal samples
Right.
and put them on your
Right.
record and not have to worry about it. But that dialogue was everywhere, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because the next year, Ice Cube dropped his solo album. He worked with Chuck D and his
Mm-hmm.
production team on his first album. So, man, it was a good time to be black and young. You know, we was full of energy and ideas. Spike Lee was our hero. Public Enemy was our hero. They teamed up together, and people forget that video, "Fight the Power." Spike Lee directed that video.
Sure
It was
did.
the number one video on BET for months. When they had Video Soul and Video Jukebox, could nobody stop that video? When
Mm-mm.
Flavor Flav is on stage, he's dancing from left to right with the big clock. Chuck D walking through
Mm-hmm.
the crowd. Everybody got these posters. Man, I
Classic,
remember
man.
how proud I felt to be black. It was the best thing in the world to realize, man, black is beautiful. Black is
Mm-hmm.
powerful. They are afraid of us because of who we are. I finally started to find out what my strength and power was as a young black man. And I wore it with pride, man. And that movie gave us a voice. And of course, the Oscars had to take notice, but they didn't want to give us no rewards for that. But the Oscars couldn't ignore that movie. It was talked about too much. It was talked
Way
about
too
way
much.
too much. Yeah, and
It's too
Spike Lee
good of a
was a
movie, man.
He was a household name. We found out he was a Knicks fan. He would always go to the Knicks games and be there. He's a
Mm-hmm.
regular, and he started doing interviews. And one thing I love about YouTube, you can go back through the course of from Do the Right Thing on, he started doing interviews with certain people. And that's what I learned about Spike Lee. Like Quentin Tarantino maybe want to be a director. Spike Lee made me want to be a black director who told my story and be unapologetic about your message to the people, because
Mm-hmm.
there's so many stories in the black community that never get told. We have a really rich history, but we had one filmmaker making a film a year telling a particular story. And Spike Lee started every black band to go to college and take film classes. I didn't go to film school, but I took film classes while I was in college. Because of who? Spike Lee. Of course, we're learning about Orson Welles and all these old ass white directors, but it was cool. But Spike Lee learned from them himself, so I get it. But Spike
Mm-hmm.
Lee was a hero, man. His name was on my wall. Any poster, any marquees I got from the theater, because that poster for Do the Right Thing was the dopest poster out that summer. That was a dope
Mm-hmm.
poster, man. How it was all looking up. He had the
Mm-hmm.
writing chalk on the concrete, man. The blue street and the walls, and the
Classic.
the movie was powerful. At the end, that's the first time I ever seen that picture of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King together. I didn't know that picture existed until I seen that movie, Do the Right Thing. Spike Lee
Wow.
taught me so much black history I didn't know existed because I went to schools that didn't teach that shit. I know that picture existed between them two.
And he came out and just knocked them out with that film. That was probably
Man,
that had to be the most controversial film that year.
oh, easily. Because it was on the news when that movie came out, how black people stood in the lobby and talked for hours. They had to be
Mm-hmm.
escorted out. Then when they escorted them out, they stayed in the parking lot for hours until the theater closed. We wasn't causing problems. We wasn't loitering or nothing. We was
Mm-hmm.
talking about do the right thing. We was trying to figure out what was the right thing. Did Mookie do the right thing? Did he not do the right thing? It
Mm-hmm.
sparked conversations for the first time amongst black people about what should we do when it comes to injustice. Because you got to understand, my generation didn't know nothing about rioting. Nothing. We was removed from slavery, rioting, segregation. Because I'm on the West Coast. LA never had segregation. People don't understand that. In the 1960s and stuff, when the South and Midwest, blacks and whites couldn't sit together or go or share the same restaurant, in
Mm-hmm.
California, that never took place. There was never segregation ever on the West
Wow.
Coast. So black people, white people share the same theater, same bus. They seen it on the news, but the white and blacks in California never had to experience that. So
Mm.
a lot of my black history I learned through film and not black history in school. Well, I took black history in college. I learned a lot, but school didn't teach us nothing. You had a paragraph on Malcolm X. You had a bigger paragraph on Martin Luther King because he was more gentle. But man, they didn't, talk about Napoleon. You got a whole chapter on his ass.
Mm.
But do the right thing, black young people. I'm gonna stress, young people were starting to get knowledge and wisdom, and we started using it, and we became very scary and very dangerous. This is during the Reagan era, so they were scared of us because we was getting conscious. That's why Spike Lee was so hated at first. You're an angry black man. I said, no, I just tell you white folks what you don't want to hear. I'm gonna tell you
Mm-hmm.
in person, in an interview, and in my movies. I've never seen anything like that in my life except Muhammad Ali. Again, I was too young to see those live interviews, only seeing
Mm-hmm.
recordings. I'm living Spike Lee's renaissance, you know, and do the right thing, man. To this very day, it's probably my favorite Spike Lee film of all time. It might be his best film that he's ever made of all time. It's just the title makes you think, do the right thing. To this very day, people had the conversation, was the right thing done and do the right thing? No one can ever answer that question truthfully because you know, it's open for discussion. And he was the first director that made me have black on black discussions about being who we are, being proud of who we are, and we need to treat each other with respect. You gotta understand, Bloods and Crips was popping off during that time. It was a crazy time in the world. And Spike Lee was a lone gunman in the West against a whole gun town, a whole ghost town. I mean, he was doing it by himself, man. And he definitely changed the culture. And that soundtrack was fire.
I can imagine, bro. And the thing is, man, not only was Spike Lee a great filmmaker, but the aesthetic and the whole direction of the art around his films were it was a huge component in and of itself.
Yeah.
The way the posters looked, the design, the way that people looked in the movie, it's as if everything was thought out before he rolled the film out. He rolled out the full package of the film and the universe. He gave it its own identity, and a lot of filmmakers fail to do that. And he's also a master of marketing and branding, because the merchandise around his films were prevalent. You know what I'm saying? Like the Do the Right Thing 8-ball jacket, or the Do the Right Thing varsity jacket rather. The Malcolm X caps. You know what I'm saying? Like, Spike Lee is a trailblazer in many ways than one. I would consider him also a fashion icon. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Do the Right Thing is one of those films that, it's gonna transcend decades, centuries. Well, it's already transcended decades, but it's gonna transcend centuries. People are gonna be studying that film years and years and years and years for years to come, because it's such a prominent film, man. And I can when Mookie threw that trash can through the window, how did your theater react? Did they clap, or what? How did your theater react?
They clapped because we hated Sal. We hated what he did, man. He took the bat to Radio Raheem's radio.
Mm-hmm.
Then the cops came and choked him out.
Mm-hmm.
With the Billy Club. I'll never forget, man, showing his feet in the air, doing like this. I mean, the way that movie is shot, it just stays in your mind. He's like this, and the next shot, you see his feet doing like this, and it stops. Then they drop him, and everybody's confused. And you witness somebody getting killed by the cops. You feel powerless because it's the cops, and these cops was racial as hell. We knew that. Where they drive through the neighborhood and look at you and snarl, man. And so when everybody was confused and angry, Mookie did the right thing. Yeah, that was his boss. That was his place of employment. But that place was also a symbol of hatred. And I don't know if he truly liked his sister for a human being, or did he have like a crush on her and want to sleep with her. That part was confusing to me. So I didn't know what Sal's intentions were. Did he really like black people, or he just liked black people's money?
Mm-hmm.
So when they threw that trash can through the window, Mookie did. Then they went in there and started stomping everything and set it on fire. And when my man had the match, and it was powerful, man. It was powerful. You see all those pictures of these famous Italians burning on the wall. Yeah.
The symbolism.
Fuck these motherfuckers, man.
Yeah.
His symbolism.
Powerful.
I didn't understand it at the time. I'm laying in bed with my hands behind my back, laying on my pillow going, there's nothing better than being a black man. Nothing better.
Mm-hmm.
Making a woman feel safe because you are a black man is beautiful. Getting on an elevator and scaring white people is beautiful. Our very presence is powerful. It's powerful, man. And when people understand it, they gravitate towards it. We're the most emulated, most sought after. They steal from us. Our culture has been pillaged throughout the years. We're the most influential culture on earth. Second might be the Asian culture. Everybody likes karate and kung fu movies and stuff. And then after that, I think the Latino culture is probably the third most popular culture that's emulated. And who don't like Mexican food? You know, come on now.
Yeah.
And but I knew what my power was. And so I didn't get offended no more when I walk into a store and people follow me in the store like I'm a steal. So I go, man, I got money. But now I know why you doing it. And I'm not going to get upset and let you see me get upset. Because if I get upset, I'm going to throw a trash can through this motherfucker. Trust me. You know, I'm going to start a riot. And they was afraid when black people got together, started communing together. Hey, man, now we had a voice. Now we have numbers. And Spike Lee was a teacher for a lot of us, man. He taught us so much in his films that we can have serious conversations with our parents, uncles, aunties. You know, now they're looking at us going, now you get it. You know, Spike Lee was beloved by everybody because there's never been a director like that at that time. You know, coming up in the Reagan era, going against all of that. And then, like you said, he was a marketing genius. I don't know who was more popular in the commercials, Michael Jordan or Mars Blackman. You know, that dude became a character prominent with Nike. And people knew something was special when She's Gotta Have It came out. They went to Michael Jordan and goes, hey, I have an idea. There's a young, upcoming director from New York. You're from New York. I see something there. It was right, man. Spike Lee made Michael Jordan in a lot of ways. Because Michael Jordan didn't have no personality to begin with. I mean, come on now. You seen Space Jam. The man can't act. But he was a dark-skinned, chiseled body, handsome dude, made the bald head popular. And he dominated the NBA. Spike Lee is the biggest NBA fan. He just happens to be a Knicks fan. But, you know, it's marketing genius, not marketing 101, marketing genius, man. Spike Lee didn't have the backing from studios and the money for marketing, so he did it himself with clothing and the best soundtracks for about 8 years in a row from all of his movies. Banging soundtracks. He got every artist that was worth something to come out. You name it. Every major artist from the 60s up into the 80s performed on Spike Lee's soundtrack. I mean, Jungle Fever, Stevie Wonder did the whole soundtrack.
That's
Girl
right.
6, Prince did the whole soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he got Game, Public Enemy did the whole soundtrack. Okay, he got heavy hitters dropping the whole soundtrack. Okay, yeah, Prince did Batman. Yeah, Warner Brothers is under contract. That makes sense. When he did Girl 6, man, come on now, stop it.
Right. You know, that was
Spike Lee. Yeah.
That was
I found out Spike
rare
Lee's favorite heroes.
Yeah.
You know? I see myself in Spike Lee. He loved Michael Jackson. He loved Prince. You know, like, dude, he loved hip hop music. He loved flamboyant clothes. He likes the sporty glasses, man. You do. He was one of us. I mean, I never seen a director that looked like us. When I say us, he was youthful. He dressed in modern day clothes. And like you say, he was a fashion guru, man. Spike Lee was the man. And behind that lens and in front of the lens, Spike Lee is the reason why I put myself in the films. For one, it saves money. Am I the best actor? No, but I wrote my script. I know what I need to do to make the script come alive. Spike Lee taught me that. Spike Lee said, man, shit, I'll be in my own movies until I can get Denzel. Even when I get Denzel, I'm going to act along with him because that's my dream come true. Man, Spike is the man.
Absolutely.
And slowly but surely, he started pushing his role back a little bit, you know, little by little. After Malcolm X said, I don't need to be in the spotlight no more. I've lived my dream. I acted alongside Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington. He did it all already. Now I can sit back and
Hmm.
truly be behind the film. And let's not mention all the people he made famous. All these nerds crack me up. Oh, Espinito's a great actor and he's in Star Wars. He was in School Days first and Do the Right Thing and Mo Better Blues first. All these nerds that love all these actors, Samuel L. Jackson. Oh, he's a Jedi Knight. He was a Spike Lee man first. Halle Berry is one of the finest women in Hollywood. Spike Lee.
Yep.
All of these
Mackay
people.
Pfeiffer. Mackay
Mackay
Pfeiffer started with
Pfeiffer.
Spike Lee. Yeah.
Oh, so many people, man. Spike Lee brought up. John Turturro. No one knew about him. He's in
Hmm.
these
Hmm.
Transformers movies. Oh, he's funny. It's Spike Lee joint.
That's right. That's right.
The
Now,
fine ass Italian women's that was in Jungle Fever.
yep,
Come on, man.
yep, yep. Spike Lee. Now, let me ask you this. Now, going back to Denzel, segueing to Mo Better. Now, this was a year after Do the Right Thing. Now, the thing I liked about Spike in those days was he fed the community every single year. Every single year, he fed the community, man, with a film.
Yep.
And the quality didn't deteriorate. It just his, whether we like the film better or not wasn't the question. It was, did his quality taper off? And it did not. You know, it just got better. The quality got better. The production value got better.
Yeah.
And so with Mo Better Blues, man, when that came out opening weekend, you saw it opening weekend, correct?
Oh yeah.
Now, how was your experience with that?
Oh man. See, by that time I was in college. This is when I was
Okay,
going through my black renaissance, dating nothing but the sisters, and we
okay.
were all conscious, we'd be in an MP room playing dominoes. We all was A+ students. We wasn't stupid. We was having concerts on campus, doing poetry and hip hop. It was one of the best moments in my life going to college, right? So when Mo Better Blues came out, oh yeah, I was dating this red bone named Monique. She was probably 5'9.5", barefooted, tall, light skinned, built, Chevy tough, conscious. She knew her black history. All of her homegirls was smart. They was into black culture. And so when that movie came out, we all took about 4 car groups to the drive-in, right? And back then is when you had a little box. You had to put it inside your car and roll the window up and listen to the box. It's before it came out in your speakers in your car. So it's 4 car groups. We all lined up. We brought lawn chairs. We bought fried chicken, mashed potatoes, coleslaw. Somebody went to McDonald's. Somebody went to Kentucky Fried Chicken. Some of the girls cooked. So you figured it was damn near 20 of us opening night to see Mo Better Blues. And we go to the drive-in, it's a double feature. So they show Mo Better Blues, another black film, and they showed Mo Better Blues again. So we stayed there for over 7 hours. We see Mo Better Blues twice in one night. We got our lawn chairs out because it was during the summertime when it got a little cold during the night. We had our little blankets. You and your little honey bunny sitting next to each other, in the lawn chair with a little blanket. Man, it was beautiful, beautiful, man. And we was hooligans. We would sneak people in the trunk. If you got in free, you went and bought the popcorn. Okay, you getting in free because you hide in the trunk. So the money you save, you buying the popcorn to go with the chicken and everything we brought. Man, we had Kool-Aid and cantinas. Man, it was dope, brother. It was dope. It was dope. And Mo Better Blues, it made you appreciate jazz. You seen the brilliance. Wesley Snipes. We already knew about Denzel, but Wesley Snipes was like, damn, this, he's putting Dark Brothers on the map. And that's what he did. And I'm like, it looked like he is fucking in his movies, in his scenes.
Mm.
I fell in love with Clark. I fell in love with Indigo. That's what I feel. I started seeing how Spike Lee's sister, her eyes were so beautiful. Her skin was radiant. And Clark, one of the baddest women of color in cinema history for a short amount of time. She only made about 2 films, you know,
Right.
but she was gorgeous. I mean, she had that cleft in her chin, that short haircut, that nice jawline. Lord have mercy, she was fine. And Mo Better Blues, I never seen it. I seen it in a movie where a woman's on the birthing table. They showed her vagina opening up and a baby being birthed. I mean, that was
Mm-hmm.
rated RRR, you know. Man, how Spike Lee filmed that movie. You got Denzel looking into the camera, practicing,
Mm-hmm.
and the camera's going around. I mean, Spike Lee's a genius. And then you got Clark listening to him practice, and go, man, sexy. And that movie was sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
the tones of colors, the browns, the golds, from a childhood, how his father wanted him to play baseball, the mother wanted him to practice. I mean, that movie went full circle perfectly to tell a story.
Amazing
Amazing.
storytelling.
Amazing.
Amazing storytelling, man.
Again, another dope sound. He put out a jazz soundtrack.
Yep.
He had what's his name?
Gangstar was in there.
Yep.
DJ Premier and Guru, Gangstar.
What's his name? Mark. What's the finish?
Branford Marcellus.
Yeah. I'm part of the soundtrack. And come on, man, that the scenes they're trying to upstage each other on stage. Wesley, Denzel, Bleak, Gilliam, the names. Esposito's character, he was dating that Italian woman.
Yeah.
They gave him hell behind that white woman.
She was French.
That's what it was. What it was.
She was French, yeah.
And when he talked, you guys are just mad. You guys are just ignorant.
Just ignorant black men. Ignorant. It's not croissant, it's croissant.
And then he had the late great stand-up comedian in that movie, because that was the last movie he did before he passed away. He did Do the Right Thing, then he did Mo Better Blues. What's his name?
Robin Harris.
Robin Harris. Man, he was funny as hell in that movie.
And you know that was all his material. That wasn't in the script.
No,
you can tell.
No, because the part you talk about Denzel's head, that was off script, and Denzel walked off stage for real because you ain't talking about me no more. Because nobody fade him. He said between takes, he just tell jokes, have everybody laughing.
Rose King.
And they started getting used to, because no one knew that was Eddie Murphy's brother back then, and those Spike Lee joints. Charlie Murphy was coming up, and you're like, man, I mean, that movie, he's walking down the street with his hands all messed up, the double dolly shot, man,
he showed his ass in that movie as far as film techniques.
Yeah.
He went in. Now, when you guys were at the drive-in, when you put the lawn chairs out, how did you hear the sound from the cars?
Yeah, the speakers were on these poles, one facing this way, so we sat right next to the speakers.
Okay. Now, if you were in your car, you just put it on a certain radio station, right?
At the time, in the 80s, that wasn't, in the early 90s, it wasn't coming through the radio yet. So you take the speaker and you roll your window down and set it inside the car and roll the window up and it'll stay in there. But the speaker's loud enough, you sat outside, it was right there.
Oh, so they had portable speakers if you could put in your car.
Yeah, they're about this size, made out of metal. You couldn't steal them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, but that's what we did, man. Was out there, man, looking up. You see the stars, because it was summertime, so the sky was clear, no clouds. The stars was out. You're looking up. You're watching a Spike Lee joint. You look over to your right. I got a bad red bone next to me. Look to my left, I got my homeboy. He got a bad sister next to him, and we were young men. We was in our 20s. We wasn't quite 20, but we were men. And we knew who we were. We was all going to school, getting an elevated education. And it was a great time to be a young black man. I grew up in the perfect era to be a black man, because Spike Lee was on point. It was just a great time, man. And then, Mo Better Blues, great experience, man. Great experience.
Word. Now, speaking of experience, when Jungle Fever was coming out, I remember vividly because my mom, we moved to Boston from Worcester
Mm-hmm.
when I was 5 years old, and around the time when we moved to Boston, Boston is like super. At that time, it was super black, but it was also heavily infested with crack because that was the tail end of the crack
Yeah.
epidemic. And so it was a culture shock for me, but I learned a lot. And Boston formulated who I would eventually grow to become as a man because I learned a lot as far as cultural nuances and things of that nature. I ended up going to an all-black private school at the time in Boston called Boston Christian Academy. It was nothing but black kids, and it was more so like a family. It was all in one room.
Whoa.
It was
Okay.
all in one room, multiple grades in one room.
Mhm.
It was a very, very small, I would say probably about like 30 kids, all
Okay.
in one room. It was an accredited school. And we got a good education, but it was all in one room, and it was just it was beautiful. But around that time, the promotion for Jungle Fever was through the roof. And
Yeah.
that's when you see like the big billboards
Yeah.
of different movies and stuff like that. So the
Yeah.
Jungle Fever billboard it was going crazy. You see the two hands, the black and white, the black hand and the white hand. And so that was fire to see. You know what I'm saying? So I was just saying, the opening weekend for Jungle Fever, how was that for you?
Man, Jungle Fever, like you said, everybody knew about it. The marketing was brilliant. You had the like orange background with the two hands coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Wesley Snipes was in another Spike Lee joint, back-to-back joints with Spike
Mm-hmm.
Lee and Wesley Snipes. And at the time, Wesley started growing up in stature as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
He was the new sexual chocolate. He was the new dark skin with muscles. I'm like, okay, dark brothers with muscles. Okay, we making some wave now. Okay, cinema's
Mm-hmm.
our thing. Wesley Snipes was our new black hero. Our knight in shining armor, Black Knight. And the single Jungle Fever was on the radio everywhere. My man Stevie Wonder, she's got jungle fever, he's got jungle fever, we got jungle fever, we're in love. That song was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Spike Lee is killing it. And this was marketed as the most controversial movie ever by Spike Lee. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
more so than Do the Right Thing? Hey, man, because on the West Coast, it's different than it is on the East Coast when it comes to, racial relationships. So I didn't know Spike Lee was coming from a New York standpoint. I didn't know about Bed-Stuy. I didn't know about Brooklyn, how things were different, how you step outside your neighborhood, you get beat up, let alone dating their women. And I've dated out of my race so much that it was a common thread. I didn't see the difference. You had to funk with some Mexicans once in a while, but nothing like this. And I never knew that Italians and blacks hated each other only through movies. I didn't know that was a real thing. So you had a man of that color dating a woman who's straight Italian is big on the East Coast. And when this movie came out, we did the same thing. By this time, I was in college. I had some really cool homies in college. This particular movie, we took no dates because we knew it would be dicey. So it was me and the brothers. It was four of us. We went one car deep to go see Jungle Fever. And we got our fried chicken, biscuits, potatoes and
From
gravy.
where? From
Well,
where?
we had a little plastic silverware grubbing, and we watched Jungle Fever.
Real quick. Where was the fried chicken and biscuits from?
We went to Popeyes this time.
Now, how much was the meal? How much was that meal?
Back then, it was cheap. It was, like $12. And you remember you had three people pitching in, $4 a piece.
You know,
Oh, so well, how much?
promotion.
What came in that $12 meal? How many pieces?
Oh, like 12 pieces of chicken. Man, we grew up.
Okay.
So, you know, we was all college students. Okay, you pitch in this amount of money, this amount of money. You get 4 pieces. I get 4 pieces. That's 8. And you're going to get, you know, we got 2 meals back to back. So everybody had at least 4 pieces of chicken. And, you know, the size was small. So we stopped to get some chips at your local gas station. We'd get pop or juice. You know, we didn't buy the drinks from there, you know. And we managed to put our monies together. We all had jobs. So it was cool, man. We grubbed, we ate well, lawn chairs, blankets, chilling. And, you know, because me and another brother, we dated outside of our race, where 2 of the other dudes never dated outside of their race. So you had 2 brothers that only dated black women, and me and the other cat that dated everything under the rainbow, right? So you had 2 different perspectives going together to see the movie. And the 2 brothers that said, man, I never been with a white woman, but homegirl, yeah, she would have got it too. She was fine. But that movie, because he had the beautiful wife, the daughter, and most common places where people have infidelity or step outside their marriage is always the workplace. And that's exactly what happened. She was a temp. She was helping out. They started having conversations. And what people need to understand, and this is for my black women, you know, don't take offense to this black women. We have in the past. It's nothing different. It's nothing new. Men of color love to hear how beautiful they are in the simplest of terms. This is during the 90s. A lot of black women were making progress in the workforce. They felt like, really don't need a man. I'm successful without him. He needs to have a certain type of job, a certain type of income. They start putting labels on the brothers. If he's a trash man or construction worker, nah, you know. I'm like, wow. Whereas a woman of non-color will lay in bed with you after having sex, passionate sex, whatever you want to call it, and later and do like this. Wow. You're like, what, baby? Your skin is beautiful. And they take their hands and put it next to your arms, and they're fascinated by the contrast. It's simple conversations that brothers like to have. And we wasn't having those conversations with the women we were seeing at the time. And I can tell you from experience, I've dated white women. They were fascinated by the difference just in the texture and color of our natural skin, the natural oils that we have. You know, we don't flake, we don't burn. You don't get sunburn? No, baby, we got melon. Well, what's melon? Watermelon? No, bitch, no, not that kind of melon. It's the melon in your skin. So we teaching these snow bunnies about the essence of being black. And this is a weird time, again, in the early 90s, where black women were putting labels on black men. We were getting tired of that shit. We go date a snow bunny on a north side of town. They didn't give a damn about that. And then you get a white woman with a little bit of money. She's breaking bread and spending bread on you. And once you get comfortable with that, you know, there's no comparison. The competition is steep now. And, you know, it was a weird time where white women were kind of like buying brothers, you know. It was a trip.
Now, let me ask you this.
Fever was a dicey topic because it forced men of color to talk to women of color about stepping out of your race. And when they try to get mad at me, I didn't give a damn. I was like, look here. I choose who I want to be with. There's nothing you can do about it. I dated enough sisters where I'm tired of playing this game. I got to be the black Superman just to be with you. Whereas that conversation never comes up. If I date somebody who's Latina, Asian, or white. Never.
Hey. You know the sisters Sis gonna come after you on this one.
It's truth. Man, this is our number one in my book, but I'm talking about a time in my life during the 90s when I was younger. But that was the conversation. And it might be the same now. A lot of brothers are still hearing the same thing to this day. Me had the conversation the other day how brothers now, they just ignore black people or women. Like, you know what? I'm cool. I'm good. We learn to love ourselves for who we are and don't need no labels or titles to feel better, And I'm glad women are making advances in education and in employment. I love it. I want to be with a woman that doesn't need me, but she wants me. Our monies might be equal. I might make more. She might make more. It's not a big deal. But back then, it was a big deal. It's like all of a sudden they wanted these educated brothers. And they found out those are the ones that was cheating and beating them up. They come running back. Oh, that man put knuckles on me. Oh, well, I would have never hit you. But you know what? My little Taco Bell job or my little job working at the gym wasn't good enough for you, huh? Or my car wasn't the best. My little 1971 Dodge Omni wasn't a Mercedes or something like that. So, go ahead and get with them college motherfuckers. Get your ass whooped. Go right ahead. Introduce you to drugs. Wake up, somebody pull a train on you or something. Weird things was happening to our sisters back then because they chose to go a different route. Not all of them, but some. And I remember that was happening. I'm like, yeah, well, what you want me to do? They come running to you because you can go put knuckles on them. Man, I'm not fighting your battles. You started that shit yourself. Nah, I'm cool. And there's a lot of black movies that portrays that. They go with the light-skinned dude who got the money. And Tyler Perry's known for doing that. Motherfuckers getting beat up. So. But as a young man, 19, 20, 21, having conversations about interracial relationship was a trip. It was a trip.
Now, when you went to go see Jungle Fever, you didn't go with a white girl, did you?
No, no women was invited. It was all brothers.
It was all the fellas. Okay. So y'all had a fellas council after the film, like the sisters had in the movie, huh?
Man,
how did
the scene came up?
When that
scene came up, we was all like this.
That, and that wasn't improvised. Spike couldn't. There's no way he could have wrote that from a woman's. But that was definitely improvised. He put the camera right there and let him just rip.
Yeah, that was dope, man. And again, it gave us insight how women felt about us. So those kind of conversations in the beauty shop, we don't hear. Spike Lee gave us a fly on the wall experience how women talk about us. And the end, she goes, hey, Flipper, my man's gone. And that's the bottom line. My man is gone. And he didn't love homegirl, but the Italian girl fell in love with him. Now he said, no, he's in love with my skin. No, she fell in love with him because she got her ass beat behind him by her own daddy. Her homegirls turned against her. Only came to her aid when she got beat up. That movie is deep. That movie is so deeper
it's deeper than most people remember it to be.
Yeah. A lot of segues into other situations, In that culture, the daughter becomes the wife, got to take care of the father and cook for all the brothers after she work all day. And man talk shit about black men, but trying to get at our sisters, making lewd comments. Well, she had a fat ass, I wouldn't date about fuck her, They all crazy, That movie is something else. And how her friends thought it was disgusting to be with a man of color. Flipper? What kind of name is Flipper? The way she turned up her nose and her mouth, like we were the scum of the earth. Hey, that was a lot of Italian people think we moolies.
Moulians.
Yeah. So it was deep, man. It was deep. And then John Turturro played a curly-haired Mexican who was cool, who got beat up with his homeboys because he defended that black woman and his girlfriend was dating a black guy. They gave him hell behind it. It wasn't his fault,
Oh
Flipper,
snap! Yeah. That was it. That was his. Yep. That was his ex girl that ended up dating Flipper.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Flipper was smart, had a prestigious job, and said, you know what, fuck this. They don't want to pay me the money, don't want to make me partner. I'll go start my own firm. And she found that engaging, being around a man who is confident in his ability, could do it myself. Her boyfriend at the time, that Italian dude, what motherfucker, what, make coffee and shit and read papers? Come on, man, fuck out of here.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And
Now,
love with the idea of something different. I mean, how she talked about his skin. She said, it's beautiful. He said, oh, you look at me, the conversation they were having at the office, that was some great dialogue. When they were like ordering food, Chinese food, they were eating and looking at where the camera was moving. They were looking at each other. And and Spike Lee knows how to film people of color. Wesley Snipes' skin looked like silky black oil, just perfect tones. And the way he was talking, his mustache was perfectly trimmed. He was a smooth dude, and I could see any woman being attracted to that man because the way the movie was filmed, the way he was talking, he has a nice voice, a great physique. And homegirl, she was, hey. And the first time he tapped that ass in the office, that was a hell of a scene. But he tapped that ass. I mean, it was so good, she got beat up by her daddy. These 3 words.
Yes, she was getting that ass whoop with Stevie in the background. For sure.
These 3 words. What in the 5 fingers say in the face? What? These 3 words.
Yeah, she did get that ass whooped.
Man, that movie dealt with, cheating on your wife, getting back together, taking your daughter to school every day, walking her down the street, And I like the fact that she didn't take him back right away. She gave Flipper hell for cheating on her. When she did take him back finally, they was having sex. It wasn't the same.
It was different.
Yeah. She was crying.
She was crying. Yep.
She rolled over and was crying. And
now the thing that Spike used to do is he would always have like subplots in his films. This film in particular, the subplot was the crack epidemic. Now, one complaint that a lot of critics had for this film is that they thought the subplot was sloppily implemented into it. However, I think it was done just fine. But again, these are some nuances that other people really wouldn't understand that we understood. We understood how the crack epidemic was ravaging our community. So for that to be in there made perfect sense. I didn't feel like it was disjointed at all. You know what I'm saying? It worked perfectly. In the ending, it brought everything full circle. You know what I'm saying? When he held his daughter, I thought it was weird, but it worked. No, yeah.
Well, man,
it worked.
People don't, and white folks don't understand this. Well, maybe they can if they have a drug member in the family. You got 2 brothers, same mother, same father. One successful, married, beautiful daughter. The other son is a crackhead. So take out the subplot. This is a story about 2 brothers. One went this way and one went this way. And Flipper always came to the aid of his big brother and helped out. Unwillingly, but all right, man, here's some money. Because he was so charming. He'd dance for him. Come on, man. I'm a crackhead, man. Come on, man. Come on. I'm here, man. Here, man.
Yeah.
And another thing that people don't talk about enough, but black people do. Now, to me, forget about the crack. The most controversial thing in this movie was his homeboy told his wife what Flipper was doing, and that's why he got caught.
And you know what pissed me off about that the most?
Huh?
You know what pissed me off about that the most?
What?
His name was Cyrus. God damn it, man.
The virus.
God damn it, Cyrus.
Man, that's the one thing I didn't get. And he said, man, if I can't tell my wife, who I'm going to tell? He said, nobody. Nobody, nobody,
Nobody,
nobody,
nobody,
nobody,
nobody,
nobody,
nobody,
nobody.
nobody. Yeah.
Nobody. Man, if you doing your dirt, you my best friend, mum's the word. I don't care how I feel about Italian women. That's the whitest of the white. But hey, my lips are sealed. Brother, just don't get caught. And if you're going to use me as an alibi, make sure I know first. But that's the only thing in the movie I was like,
Yeah. It is funny the way he was looking at him.
what? What? Man. He watched his clothes get thrown out the window in front of the whole neighborhood. Man,
Yeah.
Cyrus. Man, I wanted to kill that fool in that movie.
Hell, man.
Phil was laughing, like making jokes. Hey, man, he said, you fucked up. Man, you got me fucked up. You fucked me up. And Cyrus was like, hey, man.
Yeah, man. He invited him to stay at his house. He was like, nah, man, I don't want nobody in my business.
And then telling what's going on to his wife, man, nah. Yeah, that's crazy. The one thing in the movie, because I looked at my homeboy and said, man, would y'all do that to me? They go, hell no. One of them was like, well, man, I said, man, I will kill your ass. Some people like that's their best friend. No, that's your wife. I'm your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference, brother.
Mm-hmm.
If you doing dirt, hey, whether I agree with it or not, hey, man, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Right.
Just don't put me into your business. Like, don't ask me to pick up old Whitey and bring it to your crib. But, man, don't put me in your mess. If you're going to do dirt, do it by yourself. And God willing, you don't get caught.
Exactly. Now, again, these spike joints, man, they have a way of sparking conversation. Like that right there. That's a conversation piece. Every Spike movie sparks a conversation, especially the earlier ones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, with Jungle Fever, there's a scene with Queen Latifah, and she just chews out Flipper for bringing a white girl to the restaurant. Now, in your experiences dating the Snow Bunnies, have you ever had to deal with that with sisters, where they just had to chew you out for bringing a white girl in the area where
God looks, but the difference is, being on the West Coast, we don't have Italian women like that. There's not that Italian and black demographic. Out here, we got snow bunnies, blonde hair, blue eyes, from Malibu Beach. They're white girls. They're not Italian girls. When I didn't understand growing up the difference between Italian and white, there's a big difference. Italians feel like they're the superior whites of the white race. And everything else is below them. So dating an Italian woman is different than dating just a particular regular white woman. Because Cyrus brought that up. He said, you dated the whitest of the white. Italian. Go get Malibu Barbie. Don't get a damn Italian woman, because now you're asking for trouble. If a sister see me out with a blonde girl, and think about it, I dated some good looking white women. They were tall, green eyes, red hair, nice bodies. For a black woman, they might not have liked it, but they said, damn, at least they ain't got no raggedy, beat up, bloated Bigham's girl that he's Okay, the white girl is giving me competition. Okay, partner, I got you. But a lot of these brothers dated some white girls that's like, dude, you taking her out in public?
Bigham. He said Bigham.
Hey, I had a homeboy. It's funny, his name was TJ. His real name was Artemis, but his nickname was TJ. Went to high school together. He liked fat white girls. And sometimes people get our names mixed up. Like, I said, no, that's Artemis TJ. He likes them Bighams. He likes those 3 Husketeers. That ain't me. No. Hey, I like him thick. I got big hands, but no, he was dating side squatches. It was big.
That's crazy.
But hey, man, love knows no color. Don't know no size. And he was a really skinny dude. It's funny how really skinny dudes like big women or
Hmm.
tall women like short guys. And it's weird like that. But he was a handsome dude, skinny, cut, chiseled. He liked big ass white women. And I'm talking big. It was
Really?
big.
Now, have you heard? Are you still in contact with him?
Unfortunately, he passed away. He got that disease called Lou Gehrig's disease.
Okay.
And I never forget, he passed away on my birthday years ago. I'm talking over 20 years ago.
Oh
Not yet.
man,
But we were close, man. Matter
I'm
of
sorry
fact,
to hear that, man.
he's the reason why I lost my virginity. He turned me on. One of his Bigum girls had a friend that I lost my virginity to. So yeah, man. That's another story. And I lost
Right.
the theater drive-in watching Vamp. He
Vamp.
front
Okay.
seat with this girl. He had a van. I'm in the back seat with a girl named Bonnie. Lost my virginity to a white girl. Yes, sir. All because of TJ. Yeah.
Really? So everything ties in the jungle
Everything
fever, huh?
ties in, man. So thank you, TJ. I know you're up there looking down on me. She was cool because she wasn't as big as the other girls you was bringing home with you, but man, he he like him large and in charge. I mean, he go pick up his girl, right? I'll be in the car with her. She come walking outside. You hear the theme song of Heavy D. Here come Mr. Big. Oh man, he like
Oh
a
my God, you ain't shit, TJ.
hey, we was young, we had no filters back then. It's different now, but when you're young, yeah, man, we talking about you, and he didn't care. Fuck you. Hey.
Hey man. Now, speaking of jungle fever, there's a Nas line from a song called Halftime
Mm-hmm.
where he says so eloquently, you'll never catch me in the street without a ton of reefer. That's like Malcolm X catching the jungle fever.
Yep.
Now, segue into Malcolm X, 1992, Spike Lee's biggest test. Now, describe how it was for you leading up to Malcolm X when it was announced that Spike Lee was doing it. What was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere was, this is Spike Lee's passion project. This they be doing the story about Robinson. This was, I'd never read the book Malcolm X. Some of my college buddies have. So this was my first take on knowing the whole life story of Malcolm X. It was talked about. It was in the news. It was talking about it on BET. Every news link was talking about this upcoming movie by Spike Lee. The marketing was brilliant. All you had was a big old silver X, and that was it. Then you heard about the movie not getting all the monies from the studio. They said, if you don't come up with all the money, we're not gonna, furbish this movie. Then you heard Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Prince, Janet Jackson, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Cosby all put in $1 million a piece to make sure the movie got made. So it started off with controversy. Like Warner Brothers wasn't wanting to support this movie. So, and the merchandise was probably the best merchandise ever for a black movie I've ever seen. Everybody's rocking the Malcolm X keychain, the hat, the jacket, the shirts. That X was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Anybody didn't know about Malcolm X learned. Like I said, I never read his novel, his biopic book, but the movie was brilliant. 3 hours, Oscar nominated, Denzel again. And I remember watching the interview with Miss Little, Malcolm X's widowed wife, and she said she was on the set.
It was Miss Shabazz.
Oh, that's right.
Betty Shabazz.
That was his mom I was talking about. His wife. Yeah, his wife. My bad. Thank you for correcting me. She was with Denzel and Spike, and they was reading some dialogue and filming, and she got quiet and said, I can feel my husband's presence. I mean, you brought my husband back to life. For a woman who was married to that man to say that on the set of the film, and that thing not win Best Picture or Best Actor is a travesty. I'm sorry. You know, I love Al Pacino, but Scent of a Woman, kiss my ass. For winning Best Director. He should have won for Scarface, but the Academy fucked up, so they made up for it. But there's no way Denzel should not have been Actor of the Year for Malcolm X when his widowed wife said what she said on set. And then, not to mention, we go to the theater. We went to the walk-in, a group of us, and we heard in the news that people were buying tickets for Malcolm X, but they wasn't receiving their ticket stuff. They didn't know why. What they were doing, when black people were paying to see Malcolm X, they would change it to another movie. So another movie getting credit for the ticket sales instead of Malcolm X. So when we demanded our ticket stubs, guess what? They didn't say Malcolm X. Come on now, fix it. We had the ushers come out. We had, man, it was almost a riot at my theater. These white folks working in the booth purposely was told, when we paid for a ticket for Malcolm X, we're paying for something else. So Malcolm X came in at number 3, opening weekend. It should have been number 1.
It was doing that trickery stuff behind the scenes. I heard about that a lot.
So much. This bullshit. Man. That's when Spike Lee became the number 1 villain in Hollywood, you know? That's when he was victimized. But yeah, they were doing shit like that. I know white people going, oh, no. Yes, they were doing that to our brother Spike. Going to the theater, paying for a movie. And when did they not give you your movie stub? That don't make sense. Yeah, signed seating. You have to understand that. So you get in and you found your seats. You put your jacket or your shirts down to hold your seat while you go to the concession stand and come back. Make sure nobody steal your seats, or somebody will sit there and hold your seats while you go get popcorn. It was a different vibe back then. So people really check their ticket stub because, you know, it wasn't important. They didn't have seat numbers on there. It was just, if you was a person that valued that and said that I've seen this movie, you know, like nowadays, they ask you, do you want your receipt? Half of the people say yes, half of the people say no. They didn't give you the option. They just wasn't giving it to you. They tell you when you walk in theater number 14, but you pay for theater number 17 and didn't know it. It was. I love the movie. I love the performances, but that movie brings back a lot of bad memories. How that movie was treated. Warner Brothers didn't want to support it. All these beautiful black people chipped in to make sure it got made. The Oscars. That was the reason why I stopped watching the Oscars, because of that.
Because the way they snubbed that film.
Yeah,
that's some bullshit.
That's when I stopped supporting the Oscars. Everybody has these Oscar parties now and covered. Man, Oscars can kiss my black ass. Now, when Spike Lee finally won, I watched the replay. When Jordan Peele won, I did not support the Oscars whatsoever. Opening when it was live, I ain't watching that shit. Because later on YouTube, when Will Smith slapped Homeboy, yeah, I seen a repeat. I didn't see it live. No, I stopped believing in the Oscars. Has it gotten better? And the chairman board is different, got more color and females in there? Yeah, but it still ain't right. It still ain't right. But that was the one that turned me against Hollywood. That right there. What they were doing at the movie theaters and what they did at the Oscars, man.
Man. Hey, man. That sucks. Now, on the positive side, though, when you saw the film in theaters, now who did you go with? Did you go with some fellas, or you went with some sisters? With the homies. That sounds like that's a homies movie. You know what I'm saying?
And no females involved that night.
Right.
It was a home. And that same year, I was in college, and months prior to that, me and my homeboy Perseus, we went to go see Farrakhan speak in Oakland in person. He got his tickets, so my dad told me, son, if you ever get a chance to see a famous black speaker do it, whether you believe in their politics or not. My dad seen Malcolm X in person. My dad seen Martin Luther King in person, heard them both speak in person. He passed it on to me. So me and my homeboy drove all the way to Oakland, had a road trip, and went seeing Farrakhan speak. Changed my life. And months later, I seen Malcolm X in theaters. That was a homie for the. That was a experience for the homies. Period.
That's dope. That's dope. Now, how was the post screening experience?
Oh man, we talked, we wept. The ending was so powerful. We cried, man. We embraced each other. We was in the hallway. We was in the lobby, like hugging each other, like man, because we heard how he died. To see it portrayed on screen, that song by Sam Cooke playing his car, and the famous double dolly shot, and he knew he was going to be assassinated. They did it in front of his wife and his children.
Crazy, man.
Whew. That's a powerful movie, man. It's a beautifully made film. And all the kids standing up in foreign countries.
I am Malcolm X.
I am Malcolm X. Powerful. Powerful.
Now, you know, one of those kids that stood up and said that is John David Washington.
Yep.
So that's a nice full circle moment right there. That's his first acting role.
Yep.
He got his first acting role in a Spike Lee joint. Then he ended up acting in a Spike Lee joint that Spike won his Oscar with. Ain't that beautiful?
It's beautiful, man. And plus, our man was finally freed from South Africa after all those years. It was
Nelson Mandela. Yep.
Yeah, it was bittersweet, but yeah. But I can't forgive the Academy for that, and what movie theaters were doing. This is devilish, man. I could never forgive Hollywood for that, ever. The way Malcolm treated as a property was just wrong. And then his own distributor and studio was funking with Spike. Didn't want to give him. But you gonna make JFK and all that shit with no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely, man. Spike had to go through a lot, even after proving himself with wonderful films. Black folks, man, we always gotta just work harder, even when we don't have to. You know,
unfortunately, twice as good to be even.
Yeah, man, it's annoying.
Oh, yeah.
We know the deal. We know the deal. We know it just.
What we were talking about and Django Unchained. You got to act stupid to be equal, even though we're smarter people out here. We got to play dumb at work or something. I don't do that shit, but we had to for a long time to keep our jobs, to keep everybody happy. You know, you show your true colors, you might get fired because you know too much.
Ain't that something?
It's a bitch, man. And not even a fine.
No, it's a bigamous bitch.
A fully clothed bitch.